will be entitled What God Created. What the Most High, Yahweh, Yah, has created. So we're going to start this in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, reading from verse 9 to 12. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, from 9 to 12. So it reads, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So it is talking about Yeshua. His coming is after the working of Satan. For Satan is doing his work with all power, all signs and lying wonders. So verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So these unrighteous people here, that he's working these deceivable things through, because they love a lie. They, as the scripture says, or as the passage here says, working on righteousness, or, sorry, let me read it again, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So verse 11 goes on to say, and for this cause Elohim shall send them strong delusions, that they shall believe a lie. So it says Elohim himself is going to send them, these people, a strong delusion, that they will believe the lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So we know what righteousness is. So these people have pleasure in their unrighteousness, and they will be punished. It says that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So this is why this lesson is entitled what Elohim created. Because we have believed in lies for a very long time. So I'm going to go to two more passages here before we really get into this. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, and we're going to read from verse 18 to 25. It says, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, or the preaching of the Messiah, or the crucifixion, or the death of the Messiah is to them that perish foolishness. But unto us which are saved, it is the power of Elohim. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of the world? Have not Elohim made foolish the wisdom of the world? For after that, in the wisdom of Elohim, the world by wisdom knew not Elohim. It pleased Elohim by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believed. Verse 22. For the Jews require a sign, or the Israelites require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Yeshua, or the Messiah, crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. Verse 24, but unto them which are called, both Jew, or both Israelite, and Greeks, Yeshua, or the Messiah, the power of Elohim, and the wisdom of Elohim. Because the foolishness of Elohim is wiser than men, and the weakness of Elohim is stronger than men. So we see here the foolishness of Elohim is wiser than men. We have no authority to dictate or to say above the Most High's word what is, what he created, what he made. He said it in his word, but today man has told us completely different. And we now believe in a lie. And we are going to prove that. So now I'm going to go to John chapter 3. We're going to read from verse 16 to 21, and then we're going to get into it. It says, For Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For Elohim sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of Elohim. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in Elohim. So those who don't like the law, because this is what this light means, and it says in 19, and this is the condemnation, that the law is come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than the law, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the law, neither cometh to the law. Because Yeshua, he came and brought the law back to Israel. And it says, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the law, that is, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in Elohim. So most people don't understand that. But let's get into this. What Elohim created. So we're going to start this at Genesis chapter 1. And we're going to read from verse 6 to 10. So it says, and we're dealing with this world in terms of what Elohim created, this earth or this world we're in. Or as the people would say, let's see if there's a universe. We're going to see if this is a globe. Because there's an argument everywhere now, flat earth, globe earth, flat earth. So let's see what direction the scriptures points us in. Let's see what the Mosai said he created. Because we know man said they've been to the moon. We know man said that they send things to Jupiter and to Mars. They just had a rover went on Mars and this place and the next place. No man is telling us about other life in the universe and all of that. So the Mosai created everything. Everything it says. So let's see what the Mosai says about his creation. So this is Genesis chapter 1, and we're starting at verse 6. And it reads, and we're going from 6 to 10. And Elohim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So that's Paul's there. So Elohim said, let there be a firmament. And this firmament in the midst of the waters. So we could see from before there was anything, it was waters. But then he created this firmament. And this firmament, he said, and let us divide the waters from the waters. So this firmament that he created divided waters. So let this be our first point. The Most High created the firmament, and the firmament was created in the midst of the waters, and it separated the waters. Verse 7. And Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. So let me pause here again. So Elohim, he did make the firmament, and he did divide the waters from the waters. So it says, and divided the waters which were under the firmament. So this now gives us an idea of the firmament. So this firmament separated the waters. Then it says from the waters underneath. So we see this firmament is somewhat separated the waters. And now there are waters below the firmament, and there are waters above the firmament. And he said, and it was so. So that is what he did. Verse 8. And Elohim called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. So this happened on the second day. The most important, Elohim called the firmament heaven. So this thing that he created, that he separated the waters from below, from the waters above, this firmament is called heaven. So always keep this in mind. This is the thing that was created to separate the waters from above, from the waters below, and this is called heaven. So back to verse, I think this is 9, verse 9. And Elohim said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together onto one place, and let dry land appear. And it was so. So let's pause there again. So we see Elohim called the waters that were under the firmament, not the ones over the firmament, the ones that were under the firmament, on the heaven, together onto one place. So when he called these waters together into one place, dry land appeared. So this is how we get the land that we are standing on today, because he called the waters all in one place, and it became so, and dry land appeared. So verse 10, and Elohim called the dry land earth. So there we have it. So Elohim called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he sea. And Elohim saw that it was good. So here we having now a clearer picture. So he called the waters under the heaven together, and dry land appeared. And that dry land he called earth, and the waters that he gathered together, he called it the sea. So when we hear on dry land, the waters that we call the sea today, it's still the same. Elohim called those waters together, and dry land appeared, which we live on today. And the waters he called the sea, and the land, or the dry land, he called the earth. Let's go on, verse 11. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So we see here now Elohim calling the plants and so forth to being, and it was so. So that was verse 11. We will stop at verse 10, but I'm glad we went on. So here is how we get the trees, the plants, and so forth. So right here, Elohim told us what he created. So I'm going to elaborate here a bit more in Genesis. So the Most High told us it was waters. Then he created the firmament, which he called heaven, and that separated the waters from below from the waters above. Then he then he said, he caused the waters to gather into one place and dry land appear, and this was under the firmament. And the waters he called the sea, and the dry land he called the earth. Then he caused the trees and everything to grow upon the earth. Let me go on. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass and herbs and yielding seed, and the fruit trees yielding fruits after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass and herbs yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. So let's go to this. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for season and for days and years, and let them be for light in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. So we see here, Elohim then created the sun, the moon, and the stars. And he said, let there be lights for seasons, for days, and for years. And it says here, and let them be for light in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So these things are in the firmament. They are not under the firmament. They are not over the firmament, because remember, the Mosai said the waters above is separated from the waters below. And now this firmament, which he made to separate the waters, he now placed his sun, his moon, and his stars. And it says in verse 17, and Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So he set them in the firmament, not above the firmament, not below the firmament. They were set in the firmament. So this thing that he separated the waters from above with the waters from the waters below, he now put his sun, his moon, and his stars in them, not under it, not over it, but in it. That is very important to see here. So I know people say, oh, the sun and the stars in the firmament, but no, clearly the Mosai made a distinction here. They are not under the firmament. They are not above the firmament. They are in the firmament. So this thing that the Mosai created to separate waters, this is a physical thing. Then he placed his sun, his moon, and the stars in it, not under it, not over it, but in it. So this physical wall, or people will call it a glass wall, that separated the waters, the moon, the sun, and the stars are now in it, not under it, not above it, but in it. So this thing that separated waters, these lights are in. So let's move on. We're going to go to Job.
So before you go to Job, yes, so that's why when you see those so-called rockets going up to space, and they say it always never really go up straight all the way. It always turn, and then you see like it seemed like as if it's going through water.
Yes.
When it made that turn.
And if the device was working, I could have actually showed a video with exactly what you're speaking about, where you actually see the rocket goes up and it goes up and it goes up.
And then it
and then
turns.
it can't go up any further. So it starts to
Correct.
turn, and it goes
Take
to the
a 90
side, and it
degree
goes to the
turn.
side.
Hmm.
And then you see it goes across until you don't see it no more. It no longer goes up because
Right.
it cannot go up any further because that firmament cannot be penetrated.
Cannot pass that. Yeah. I got you.
So also on that video, you see the actual waters behind the firmament being rippled, just like
Yes.
if a
Yes.
speedboat is in the sea.
Correct.
So the
It's cutting through
device
the
I know,
water. Yeah.
yes, so the device I normally use is not working, so I cannot show that video. And it would have been nice to show that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, Mosai told us in Genesis what he created. So they told us, and this is a good time to bring this in. They told us that we live on a globe, and the globe is spinning on its axis, and the globe is spinning going around the sun, and this is how we get gravity. And the sun is stationary, but the world and all the other places, Mars, all of these places, actually spins around the sun. They tell us the stars are millions and millions and millions of miles away, that when we see the starlight, that star has already died. These are the things they tell us. So let's go into the book of Job now and see what the Mosai has to say, because we're going to expose some lies today. So this is Job chapter 38, and we're going to read from 3 to 6. So Job chapter 38 from verse 3. And the Mosai says, gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee the answer, and answer thou me. Sorry. So this is when Job started to question the Mosai, and a young man intervened, and then the Mosai intervened, and he started to ask Job some questions. So let me go from verse 1, and it says, and then Yah answered Job out of a whirlwind and said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. So the Mosai is telling Job, I'm going to ask you some questions and answer me. Verse 4, where was you, or where was thou, when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. So just that one question there alone. Where was you, or where was you, when I laid the foundations of the earth? So the Mosai is telling us here, the earth has foundations. He laid the foundations of the earth. Declare if thou hast understanding. Verse 4, who have laid the measure thereof, if thou knowest? Or who has stretched the line upon it? No, who has stretched the line upon it? There's no line on a globe. Verse 6, whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Who who laid the cornerstone thereof? Verse 6 again. Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? So the Mosai is asking Job, where is the foundations of the earth fastened to? Or what is holding up the foundations of the earth? So here we go. The Mosai is asking the questions about his creation that Job can't answer because he was not there. He don't know. But the key important part here is the earth has foundations, and the foundation is fastened somewhere. And who laid the cornerstone thereof? A globe doesn't have a cornerstone because a globe doesn't have a corner. So the Mosai is addressing Job with these questions very plainly, very simple to understand. The Bible does not support a globe earth. It simply does not. It contradicts what the Bible says. So let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 8. 1 Samuel 2 and verse 8. And it reads, He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yah's, and he hath set the world upon them. Read that again. For the pillars of the earth are Yah's, and he hath set the world upon them. So how is it that today they are telling us the earth is spinning on its axis, and then it is spinning going around the sun, and the sun is stationary, when the earth has foundations, and that foundation or these pillars, sorry, that belongs to the Most High. And he has set the world upon these pillars. The earth has foundations. But we'll move on. We go to Proverbs. So you got any questions? Now you could feel free to jump in and ask. Proverbs chapter 30. Because we're going to go through a whole set here to show all throughout this Bible it does not support a globe earth that is spinning on its axis and spinning going around no sun. That is false. So Proverbs chapter 30, we're going to read from verse 1 to 6. The words of Agar, the son of Jacob, even the prophecy. The man spake unto Israel, even unto Israel and Yakal. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learned wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy, who have ascended up into heaven, or descended, who have gathered the wind in his fist, who have bound the waters in a garment, who have established all the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? So hold on. Who have established all the ends of the earth? A globe does not have ends. A globe is a ball. What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? Verse 5. Every word of Elohim is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. Add not to his words. Now his words are here telling you, where was it? Here. Who established the ends of the earth? A globe does not have ends. Add thou not to his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. Now all of this is where I started this in 2 Thessalonians. For those who choose to believe the lie, the Most High have sent them that strong delusion. So we're going out of the book of Psalm, chapter 102, because David had a lot to say about it as well. Psalm 102, verse 24 to 26. And it reads, I said, O my Elohim, take me not away in the midst of my days. Thy years are throughout all generations. Of old have thou laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of thy hands. Read that again. Of old hast thou laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of thy hands. Verse 26. They shall perish, but thou shalt endure. Yea, all of them shall wax old like a garment. As a vesture shalt thou change them, and they shall be changed. So, from old, the Mosai have laid the foundations of the earth. So, all throughout this Bible, we see is referring to the foundations of the earth. So, let's go to Psalm 104 now, and we're going to read verse 5 and 6. And he starts by saying, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever? So that dispels another false doctrine that the earth is going to be destroyed. So read that again. For who laid the foundation of the earth, that it should not be removed forever? Verse 6. Thou coveredest it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. So, we see here everything thus far, and these are wise proverbs is Solomon, the wisest man to ever live. This is David speaking. Let's go to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 10. And you know, this is the so-called New Testament. So it says, and thou, Yah, in the beginning have laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of thy hand. Sounds familiar? We just read it in the book of Psalm. This is a quotation from the book of Psalm. So from the beginning, the Most High have laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens, the firmament, is the work of thy hand. He said it. He created the firmament, and it separated the waters above from the waters below. It is the work of his hand. So this is absolute. Absolute. There is a lie that we all believed in for most of our lives, because we were taught and told that this earth is a globe and it is spinning, going around the sun, and that man visited the moon, and that man goes into outer space. So let me burst some people bubbles today. There is nothing called outer space. There is nothing called Mars. There is nothing called Jupiter. The Most High did not create any other planet. There is no solar system. There is no ozone layer. There's none of this crap that they taught us, because it is all crap. The Most High told us what he created. Mars, Jupiter, outer space is not biblical. It is not
Man, and the
there.
moon and all these things. Huh?
Yeah, man on the moon or man walk on the
Man
moon.
walk on the
The
moon.
moon is
Wow.
set in the firmament, not under the
Yes, sir.
firmament. There's no
Wow.
man that could ever get to the moon because man shall not penetrate the firmament. So when we look up and we see the sun, we see the stars, we see the moon, behind that is nothing but water because they are in the firmament, and the firmament is what is used to separate the waters from above from the waters beneath. The Mosai give the waters beneath the firmament some orders, and dry land appeared. He never commanded the waters above the firmament to do anything, so they are still there. So much people don't understand that when he flooded the earth back with Noah, it says the gates were open. What? The firmament. The water came down. But that's a story for another day. So let's pick this up in Job chapter 26. Job chapter 26 and verse 10. It says, He hath compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. So he have compassed the waters with bounds. You know when he said, let the waters gather in one place? So even Job is continuing in what we see in Genesis. Let's go to Revelations chapter 7 and verse 1. And it says, And after these things I saw the four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the winds should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Key point. After these things I saw four angels standing on the corners, plural, corners of the earth. There's no corners on a globe. There's no corners on a ball. So all throughout this Bible, it is speaking these things, but we were taught some stuff that has us in a tizzy. Because most people will hear this lesson and say, oh, this is garbage. If you believe what the Bible tells us, then you will know that this is not garbage. If you believe what man
But
says,
Elias,
mhm,
we speak it all the time, and we don't believe it
precisely.
because we always talk about the four corners of the earth, but still we still saying that is the world is spinning on like a ball, on a ball.
Mm,
You know.
mm-hmm.
So how we speak it, and so that's the confusion right there too.
So
You
we
know,
really don't believe the Bible.
yeah, we speak it and we don't believe it because we always talk about the four corners, even though even says we are scattered in the four corners
Four corners.
of the earth. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So how we gonna? I don't see a four corners in a globe. You understand? So yeah, man, continue, my brother.
So you know it says, whose report shall you believe? As a popular song in Christianity, whose report will you believe? I will believe the report of the Lord. No, they don't. They believe the report of man. They do not believe the report of the Most High, because we hold fast to these man-made teachings and these man-made doctrines, which Satan himself. Because it's funny how our ancestors knew that this earth was not a globe. This earth became a globe when the Gentiles, the beast, Christopher Columbus and those guys started sailing. The earth became a globe in their times. It was not always known to be a globe, but they thought it was a globe to their education system, because this education system we have belongs to them. This does not belong to the Most High.
Yeah, it's from
So
them.
through their education system, they taught us that this earth is a globe, that this
Mm.
earth is spinning upon its axis and it's spinning going around the sun, which is a contradictory to what the
Yes.
Bible says,
Yes.
100%. But we're going to get there. So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 5. It says, the sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteneth to his place where he arose. So they tell us the sun is stationary, but the earth moves. But the Bible tells us the sun riseth and the sun goeth down, and it hastens to his place where he arose. This is scripture. This is Solomon, the wisest man to ever live. The sun rises and it goes down, and it goes back to the place where it arises. But they tell us the sun is stationary and the earth moves. And we believe them. But you bring this to people, they're going to think you're mad. But this is the word of the Most High. Who are you going to believe? This again is why I brought out 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Because the Most High gave them over to a strong delusion. So they will believe this lie. Everyone is not going to adhere to this truth, because it comes from an uneducated black man, so-called. It doesn't come from me. I'm just pointing out what the Bible says. But to them, it comes from an uneducated black man who never went nowhere, to no school of theology, nothing. So he have no authority to say these things. These people are educated, university educated, all kinds of degrees and bachelor degrees and all kinds of foolishness. So really and truly, the authority is higher. But I say, no, my authority is higher. My authority is the Most High.
Educated
I
fools,
am,
brother.
yeah, man, I am
Fools.
speaking
Yeah.
the word of the Most High that is written, not what man write and tell me to repeat. These are the words of the Most High. Know that I am reading from the Bible and not giving my interpretation. I'm reading these things verbatim from the Bible. So the sun rises and the sun goes down. So we go to the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 48. Because the Most High says he would do nothing but reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. So let's see what prophet Isaiah have to say. This is Isaiah 48 and verse 13. My hand also have laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand have spanned the heavens, or the firmament. When I call unto them, they stand up together. This is the Most High speaking. He, my hand, also have laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand have spanned the firmament. It is this simple and this easy to understand. No, let's go to First Chronicles. First Chronicles chapter 16. And we're going to read from verse 29 to 31. Let me show you this. So First Chronicles 16, verse 29. Give unto Yah the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come before him. Worship Yah in the beauty of holiness. Verse 30. Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. They tell us the earth is spinning on its axis, and it is spinning, going around the sun, and the sun is stationary. The Most High tells us the sun rises and it goes down and it hastens back to the spot where it arose. The Most High tells us here the earth does not move. The earth is stable. It has foundations. Anything that have a foundation cannot spin. Verse 31, let the heavens be glad and let the earth rejoice and let men say among the nations, Yah reigneth. All praise to the Most High. So we have learned some stuff today. The earth is stable. It does not move. The earth has foundations. The sun rises and it goes down. And we're going to get further into that. Let's go to the book of Psalm, chapter 93. And verse 1. Psalm 93 and verse 1. It says, Yah reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. Yah is clothed with strength, wherewith he have girded himself. The world also established that it cannot be moved. The world also established that it cannot be moved. So what nonsense are they teaching us that we are on a globe? Are we spinning, going around the sun? Nonsense. Oh, I went too far ahead. Psalm 96 and verse 10. Psalm 96 and verse 10. It says, say among the heathen that Yah reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. What more could we say? We have inherited a lot of lies from these people who are running the world. This is Psalm 104, and we're going to read from verse 3 to verse 5. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Beams? No, pillars, beams? Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the cloud his chariot? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind? Who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers of flaming fire? Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it shall not be removed forever? This is the Most High, his word. This is the word of the Most High. This is what he says. A man tells us otherwise, and we believe everything man says. Let me go to Joshua. Joshua chapter 10 and verse 13. Joshua chapter 10 and verse 13. It says, this is an account where they were fighting and they were winning, and it was about to become night. And guess what? We'll actually get to the account. We'll read the whole thing. But Joshua chapter 10 and verse 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Joshua? Where in the Bible can I find the book of Joshua? But that's another topic for another day. Is not this written in the book of Joshua? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and have not to go down about a whole day. And there, so we stop there. The sun did not go down the whole day. So what we are going to do now, we are going to investigate this. We are going to go into this book of Jashers, because it says, is it not written in the book of Jashers? So let's see this book of Jashers. And that is for who don't have Jashers, you could Google it. It's Jashers chapter 88, verse 58 to 65 is what we're going to read. Let me see if this turns. Yes, it does. So verse 58. Try to exit that. So verse 58 of Jashers. And it reads, and all the kings came and encamped before Gibeon, and they began to fight against the inhabitants of Gibeon. And all the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua, saying, come up quickly to us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites have gathered together to fight against us. So this is going to give you the entire story. Verse 59. And Joshua and all the fighting people went up from Gilgal, and Joshua came suddenly to them and smote these 5 kings with a great slaughter. Verse 60. And Yah confounded them before the children of Israel, who smote them with a terrible slaughter in Gibeon, and pursued them along the way that goes to Beth Horon unto Makkedah. And they fled from before the children of Israel. Verse 61. And whilst they were fleeing, Yah sent upon them hailstones from heaven, and more of them died by the hailstones than by the slaughter of the men or the sons of Israel. 62. And the sons of Israel pursued them, and they still smote them in the road, going on and smiting them. Verse 63. And when they were smiting, the day was declining towards evening. And Joshua said in the sight of all the people, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon, until the nation shall have avenged itself upon its enemies. Verse 64. And Yah hearkened to the voice of Joshua, and the sun stood still in the midst of the heavens, and it stood still 36 moments, and the moon also stood still, and hastened not to go down a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that Yah hearkened to the voice of a man, for Yah fought for Israel. So here we have the entire account. So Joshua and his army was fighting. It was about to be evening, the sun was about to set. And Joshua commanded the sun to stay still. And Yah hearkened to the voice of Joshua and let the sun stay where it was for an entire day. But no, the sun rised and it went down. Not the earth was moving. He didn't say earth stand still that we could have this sunlight. He says sun stay still, and the sun did not go down. So the scriptures supports, or does not support, I should say, a globe or a sun that is stationary and the world is spinning going around this sun. That is doctrines of devils. That is what it is. So the last one we're going to read is Psalm chapter 75 and verse 3. And it says, the earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. Selah. And that is where we end. So my brothers and my sisters who are hearing this, we have been taught lies from the heathen. What they taught us So their educational system, this earth is not. The Most High himself created this earth. He, in his word, tells us what he created. It is not a globe. It is not spinning. The sun is not stationary, and we definitely not spinning going around the sun. There is no Mars. There is no Venus. There is no Jupiter. There is nothing called outer space. Man cannot leave Earth to go nowhere. There's nothing called outer space that man visits. Man has never put his foot upon the Most High's moon. The moon is not what we think it is. Man has never left Earth to go nowhere because there's nowhere else for man to go. The Most High created us. The Most High created angels. Hence the talk of aliens. Angels always, when we read about Abraham, the angels visit Abraham. Angels always, they always visited the earth. They always came. Guess what? This is the same earth that it was back then. We are the same human beings as Abraham, as our forefathers. These things continue. But we were dumbed down. Our knowledge was taken away. We believe a lot of lies, and we were sold to the heathen. And they could get so deep with this. We now, today, do not have the understanding our forefathers had. Why? Because it was taken from us. They fed us a whole bunch of lies, a whole bunch of deceit. Why? So that we could go against what the Most High has told us in his word. And I'm going to read what exactly we started with. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. And lying wonders. Satan is responsible for this. Everything the Most High did, he tries to contradict it. He tries to get us to go against it. So verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So there are people who will look at this or hear this and dismiss it immediately because we are going against what they learn, what they believe. Everything is what they learned. So they are going to believe this. And guess what? The Most High said, and for this cause, Elohim shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. So they're going to believe it. Why did he send in this strong delusion? That they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So this is why he sent in the strong delusion. Because you claim to believe in the Most High. You claim to believe in his word. But his word is saying what he created. But man tells you that you are on a globe. Man tells you he visited the moon. Man tells you the earth is spinning. And you believe man, but you refuse to take the report of the creator of heaven and earth, the one who created every single thing. You refuse to take his report, to take the report of man, who Satan is in control of, who Satan is giving these things to. So this is why the Most High give you that strong delusion, that you will believe that lie. So all praise to the Most High for his word and